Everything wrong with Manchester United. For cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to www.jerseyfever.com where they have the new season's jerseys available from just $25. A link will be left in the description, and if you use the coupon code ATLANTISFOOTBALL, you'll get 5% off. So Manchester United currently sit in 13th place with a total of 10 points from the first 7 games, and the pressure has begun to pile on Solskjaer after his side's poor start to the season. The 2 exceptional performances in the Champions League have gone some way to avoid a complete United collapse, but it still feels like there's something wrong at Old Trafford. And it hasn't just been this season or under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but prior with Mourinho and pretty much since Sir Alex Ferguson left, and some may argue even before that. I've broken it down to 4 main areas, and I'll be analysing the first 2 in this video and another 2 in another video that I will be releasing soon, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you get notified when that comes out. Also remember to give this video a like if you enjoy it, and check out some of my other videos which I will leave linked in the description below. So the first is definitely the most well publicised and the most obvious, and that is the Manchester United board itself. It's no secret that the Glazer family seem to be more concerned with the wealth they can extract from the club rather than the team's performance on the pitch. This can be seen as despite numerous summers where they have brought in players for high transfer fees, it does seem very calculated, and still does not come anywhere near to what United could potentially do if the ambition was there. For example, in 2016 and 2017, they did have big summers bringing in the likes of Pogba and Lukaku for big money. However, in years such as 2018 and even this season, they've only spent around £50 to £60 million on first team signings. This all comes in the same period when Manchester City and Chelsea were spending upwards of £200 million in the summer, and Liverpool were bringing in players like Van Dijk, Keita and Alisson for big money. It seems like the United board are only willing to spend big on individual big name players. Rather than sign 5 or 6 players for 130 million, they would rather spend 130 million on 2 big name players. And to me it's obvious why. Signing a player like Pogba is excellent for marketing, however signing multiple players for around 20 to 30 million pounds is not as useful from a marketing perspective, and therefore from the Glazers' point of view as well, which ultimately comes to my next area, the transfer strategy at the club. The board did receive heavy criticism for their lack of investment in the side this summer, however the problem is a lot deeper than simply the spending in one summer. To me, we have to look at this over a longer period. So when Solskjaer was first announced as manager and went into his first summer transfer window in 2019, it was clear that the squad needed a drastic rebuild. The first thing that United needed to do was ship out the dead wood and get them off the wage bill. This included players like Phil Jones, Marcus Rojo, Andreas Pereira, and you could even throw in the likes of Nemanja Matic, Juan Mata and Jesse Lingard in that group as well. Also that summer, United needed to bring in at least 5 players from my perspective: a centre-back, a right-back, 2 central midfielders and a right-winger. It seemed like with players like Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez being shifted as well, United would have plenty of funds to completely rebuild the side. Instead, what happened was a deadwood like Phil Jones, Andreas Pereira and Marcus Rojo remained at the club. The likes of Matic and Mata were given new contracts, which signalled to me that United's board felt that keeping these declining players for another few years would save them bringing in new players and save them some money. They brought in Wan-Bissaka for around 50 million, Maguire for around 80 million and Daniel James for 15 million. No central midfielder was brought in at all, and United went into the start of that season with a midfield 2 of Fred and McTominay, which wasn't even the starting double pivot the season before, as Herrera had been a starter but was allowed to leave, showing that if anything United had downgraded in that area. Lukaku was let go for a massive fee with no replacement, and overall United had brought in only 2 players who would improve their starting 11. From a transfer strategy point of view, this is perplexing. If you have say £80 million net or £150 million in total to spend in the summer, why are you spending £130 million on 2 players? What should have been done is United should have been targeting players for around the £30 to £40 million mark and brought in 5 or 6 players who would come in and improve their starting 11. Instead, United were now left with Daniel James, a bottom half winger at best, starting on the right wing, McTominay starting in central midfield, who is not a top level central midfielder, and Fred in midfield alongside him, who can play a role at a top side, but is not the top class central midfielder that United could have gone out and got. What made this strategy even more bizarre was that in January, United went out and brought Bruno Fernandes in, when they could have signed him in the summer and had him for a whole season, rather than just a half a season, and they also signed Ighalo on a loan, who's a massive downgrade from Lukaku, and is probably not even Premier League standard, highlighting United's board's incompetence. This summer was another example of terrible transfer strategy. The biggest acquisition was Donny van de Beek, who doesn't even improve their starting 11 when everyone is fit. Why, if you're going to only spend 60 or 70 million pounds, would you spend half of that, 35 million pounds, on a player who isn't even going to improve your starting 11? A lot of people were telling me that I was wrong and that Van der Beek was a fantastic signing in my video analysis of him, with many saying that United needed squad depth. However, on the list of things that United needed in this transfer window, squad depth in the attacking midfield position was not even in the top 5. A left back, which they did eventually get, a centre back and one if not two central midfielders and a right winger were far ahead of a central attacking midfielder on that list. Telles was good value for money, but Reguilon was available and would have been a far better signing for not that much more money had United moved quicker, which has to suggest that if the season had started well, Telles would have never been signed. The signings of Cavani, Traoré and Pellistri on deadline day to me all seemed just for public image. Cavani was a free agent, so why is he being signed a few weeks into the season on deadline day? And Traoré and Pellistri are young players who aren't going into United's first team either, so why are they all of a sudden being signed on deadline day? United's squad still needs a massive rebuild after 2 failed summer transfer windows, and my theory behind this terrible transfer strategy is that the Glazers do not want a massive rebuild, because firstly they have a lack of football knowledge, and they do not want to relinquish control and employ a director of football, and most crucially they know that whoever they sign, as long as they are somewhat high profile, is going to be laundered by the fanbase, seen as a great signing even if they do not fit into the system or are what United need. In the second part to this video, which I will be releasing soon, I'll be looking at 2 other problem areas for United: the manager and the fan base, which I think will tie into the 2 areas I've already spoken about in this video. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you get notified when I release that video, and if you could, give this video a like to help the channel out, and if you disagree with me, I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, and check out some of my other videos linked in the description as well.